Welcome to the IAMCP Profiles and Partnership, the podcast where Microsoft partners and IAMCP members share how they accelerate business growth by working together. I'm your co-host, Anthony Carano, and in each episode, we'll meet some of the most innovative and successful partners in the Microsoft ecosystem. Whether you're seeking fresh customers, new markets, or cutting-edge solutions, this show shines a light on how collaboration within the IAMCP community helps partners thrive. We'll dive into real stories, lessons learned, and the best strategies to boost customer loyalty and grow your revenues. So whether you're just starting out or leading an established Microsoft partnership, get ready for insights and inspiration that you can put to work in your business. But before we jump in, let me ask you, are you maximizing the power of partnership in your business, or are you still trying to go it alone? What could your team achieve if you combine technical expertise with strategic relationship building? And how might transparent collaboration and trust help you overcome challenges and unlock new opportunities? Think about these questions as you listen to today's episode. It might just spark the next big opportunity for your business. We're joined today by Global and Americas P2P Solution Provider Award winners Promod Antony, President and CEO at Logic Intelligence, and Denny Ghim, Director of Channel Sales at Sandler Partners. Let's hear what they have to say. Well, Promod and Denny, welcome back to Profiles and Partnership. It's so good to see you guys again.
Thanks for having us. Good to see you as well.
Excellent. Well, listen, I know you've been on before, and that was a fantastic episode. I mean, actually, it was so good, we actually had to split into two episodes. So for those that are listening, you should go back and check that out. But for those in our audience who don't know you, why don't you guys start off and tell us a little bit about yourselves?
I'm Denny. I'm with Sandler Partners. We're what's called a technology service distributor. It's an interesting situation where we're a parallel type of organization that originally started off in the telco space and has expanded into all areas of technology now. And that line is now blurred. So we offer the full stack of tech, everything from IoT to software development to as basic as internet services and cybersecurity, even physical security, at one single location where providers can come and partners can come and use all of our services and buy from us through our network at no cost to enhance their businesses and help them grow. So we do two things here, at least as myself as a channel manager at Sandler Partners, is I recruit and make agents. So I bring our tool chest to the companies like Promod's, and I also make agents, and then I bring business too if I can. So in this case, that's what I did is I brought potential opportunities, and it blossomed with Promod, and it's been a fantastic experience. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, so our company, Logic Intelligence, we are a technology solutions provider specializing in data, AI, and business applications. So what that means is like we bring all the data together, even if it's like a machine data or any kind of data. We source the data and prepare the data, cleanse the data, and then bring all these information to one place and create data analytics on top of it, or advanced analytics or AI processes. And we are also into ERP systems like Dynamics 365, Business Central, Dynamics 365 Sales, all these mix. So, and there is a lot of Power BI, Power Platform development as well, Power Automate process. And now we are also stepping into HDKI development as well.
Excellent. And I know we've got some questions that we really want to get into, especially about your story, your P2P story, just some other aspects. Before we do though, why don't you share with us just what's been happening just in your companies, just since our last time that we chatted.
My company we've been growing at a rapid pace as I think AI has driven a lot of that growth in a lot of different industries. It's opened up the world of possibility, just utilizing AI as a tool to expedite repetitive tasks and improve on current development and so forth. And so it's created this superhuman power to accomplish things that, we would have looked back and thought, wow, that's too cost prohibitive or too complicated to design. And we just kind of imagine it, and then I bring it to Pramod, and he builds it for me, and then we go out and sell it.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, in our company there is good and bad. I mean, there is like AI. Uh, on one side, there is a enterprise customer who are moving more of their stuffs to AI, and they just cut down a lot of projects because AI can do that, right? I mean, on the other side, what we are seeing is the need of AI. I mean, so we are pivoting very fast. I mean, we are changing our marketing styles. We are changing it. I mean, traditionally we were all consultants, and now we are thinking of, now what do we do? I mean, we are not just consultants. We actually acquired all this knowledge over these 25 years. Our company is 25-year-old company, been doing all this consulting, and now we are hearing more and more stories of, I want to get into the AI side, and companies doesn't know how to actually get into it. Like it may be a technology, it may not be a technology company. They want to get into the technology, adopt AI, and they think it's easy as like switching on or buying a product. No, it's not. So we are seeing some opportunities in that area, and different other areas when customers come back and say they try it, they try to build the agentic AI or something. They come to us and ask, "Can you build? Is there a way you can help us out?" So technology consulting in a different approach, partnering with different development teams and different businesses, variety of businesses to build that kind of products. So that's what we are seeing right now. No.
I would even add to that what I think I'm experiencing because I'm at the at the cutting edge, at the front of talking to and interfacing with customers, and I'm the old school dinosaur that still knocks on doors, calls people directly, works my network. I do all those things, but what's really fun and interesting is when I get into these conversations, it's not the same old, hey, I have this widget I want to sell to you, but they're asking for things. Can you build this for me? Can you create this process where these sensors will evaluate whether my machines need repair, or can you create this automation so that all of these billings and everything else can be done, or can you answer questions as a AI bot and talk in a human voice and communicate with my customers and actually do it in a way that it feels human? All of these questions have really started to percolate up. And so, what I love to say is, yeah, yes to all of it. But
Mm-hmm.
we got the money and we got the time. And right now, it is kind of, it feels like a little bit of a technology gold rush
Uh-huh.
where
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to get all the picks and axes and trying to, find those opportunities, carve out and be the Coca-Cola, be the first one on scene that is kind of makes that, first kind of planting the flag of, hey, this is what we develop and we want to be example to others and do good with AI as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to turning it into our future overlords.
Well,
So
I kind of like the 1, 2, 3. So if the customer can dream it, you can kind of strategize it, and then Pramod can build it. So that's I think that's a good good cadence.
yeah, yeah, that works out for
That's
sure.
awesome. Well, thank you, for those updates. That's fantastic. Rudy.
So, gentlemen, I read the story last night of what this P2P win was for you. So let's talk a little bit about that. Can you tell us a little bit about the what you guys did? Who the client, what the client did, what industry they were in. We know it was a nonprofit, so I'll say that. But what the technology was implemented and what benefits they got out of the solution that you guys built for them.
Yeah, so the story is, we didn't know each other until we came to IAMCP, right? And there is this P2P networking event that Paul Solowski put together from the Seattle chapter, and we happened to be in that meeting, and the idea was to actually come up with, there's like this breakout rooms, right? And then we happened to be in the same breakout room. Even if Denny is also from Oregon, I actually met him in the breakout room. We introduced ourselves, and we are supposed to create a business idea from all the groups, involving all the group members in that breakout room. And Denny came up with this. He brought a real opportunity to the table, and we formed that. So I can do the data analytics side, another person can do another one, and we formulated the idea and presented it in front of the whole team. And the next day, we were at the coffee. We scheduled some time for a coffee, and we chatted for a little bit longer, and that idea came out to be to a real project. And Denny, do you want to tell the rest of the story,
Yeah,
who the
yeah.
client is and everything?
So, as a sales guy, I tend to forecast and I build pictures in my brain, well, a big picture of what things could happen. So, this particular client, I was looking for a solution, and it just by happenstance, Pramod was the right guy that does the data analytics for them for this particular type of solution. As I explained what we were looking for, Pramod immediately identified things that I wouldn't have even recognized, and he kind of formulated that solution. From that, I was able to pull down a scope of work. We developed kind of a go-to-market plan, and to Pramod's credit, the client asked for 2 to 3 different other quotes. So I went out to other software developers and pulled those guys in to be able to provide those quotes. But I knew Pramod would win. It was head and shoulders. When you're dealing with these larger companies that go out and do these developments, it is kind of like, I feel like they're fishing to see how much money they can pull out of you. And for a nonprofit, it's kind of a game killer. It's just like you can't really approach it that way. And so the numbers they were throwing out and and not being very specific and being very vague killed the deal. Where Pramod was just the opposite. He was providing a great value. He was very precise. He was very much able to quantify what he was going to deliver. And to myself, if I was to put myself into the position of being a buyer, that's what I'm looking for. I want clear value. I want clear representation of what I'm getting, and a clear communication. And those were delivered. So thus started a wonderful relationship between Pramod and myself, as I loved his style, and I think he likes my style too, because I've always been a very relational salesperson, and really feel like I'm more of a counselor than a consultant a lot of times, is I really need to understand the pain and how to address it. And even if there's not a solution I can provide, I love to be able to find them a person or a company that actually can provide it for them. And as long as I kind of lead with that, I feel like everything else takes care of itself. But that's really, I think, the beauty of our current relationship, as it has spawned many more ideas and opportunities going forward, as we're probably working on another like 3 or 4 other opportunities together. It's I'm hoping it just continues to build, because there's a huge need, and there's a huge it's really kind of limited to imagination. It feels like, as I mentioned before, it's the technology gold rush, as we're all trying to find a good place of where things fit, because the way things have been done in the past, even some of the basics of doing outreach have changed, and the protocols have changed. So I have to be sensitive, and we're all sensitive to those changes.
And do you want to say the name of the client?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we are. I mean, it's actually for Oregon Food Bank, a nonprofit organization here. So it's very fortunate to do projects for them. It's we feel very good too doing that project, data project. Um, Very fantastic people. So,
Pramod, can you tell us a little bit more about what the solution was that your organization built?
yeah, so previously they were all on-prem, doing all this manual data collection and bringing the data to the law of Band-Aid on Band-Aid on top of Band-Aid. And when we came in, we actually proposed to bring everything to the cloud, to a Azure environment, and Microsoft Fabric, Azure, all those automation. And the To convince that there's a learning curve, right? Of people when we have done a lot of on-prem to cloud migrations, but it's not just the project, it's also the migration of the on-prem to a Azure environment. So to show them this is the benefit which you're getting, and then we also brought in the nonprofit grant to help them to get that extra little bit. Every little bit of money counts, right? So we actually brought in that, and then they were convinced to get into the cloud. So going through that step of educating them throughout the process of getting in the code process itself, it's was also challenging. But once we got in this, the project was to unify the data, create the unified data analytics platform where they can take decisions on the fly. Previously, they would have to wait a lot of time to run the report. Now they are able to get on-demand reports on the fly, and the process is also streamlined and automated.
I'm sure you saved them a lot of money by being able to make decisions on a more timely basis as well. So that's
That's
really
right.
great.
Exactly. Yes.
That's great to hear.
Beautiful thing about Oregon Food Bank is they are kind of a model for the rest of the state and a lot of other state organizations of how they operate, and um, could lead very much into their best practices will be copied and shared with other organizations. So I think it's a double fold for Pramod and I. It's like I'm a big believer in feeding people, and what we see happening at Oregon Food Bank is there's been a lot of turmoil with what's the grants and stuff that have come from the federal government. They have had to scramble, and so we're doing our part in helping them be more efficient. And I think it's a good feeling to be able to be part of that.
Yeah, well, I think it's a great use case for both of your companies to help you, you know, talk about your solution that you've built. So I highly encourage you to build that use case right there. So that's
Yeah,
great.
sounds
So
good.
I'm gonna dive into a little bit about your partnership because you talked about, and I want to hear more about it because I know Paul Solsky that you mentioned. He and our friends, and I want to hear more about what was the initial spark. You said you went into a room, and did Promod light up, Denny, or did you light or did Denny light up for you? Promod, what was the initial spark that led you to say, "Hey, I think I want to work with this guy, and I want to see how we can work on more opportunities together." And I know you have because you just said you had three or four more opportunities that you're working on. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I've been attending the Seattle chapter of the IAMCP for at least a year or so. And, being new to the organization and trying to share the concepts of what my organization can do for partners was didn't seem to be taking hold. So I wasn't getting any takers. So I decided to find a partner to be able to plug into. When I found Pramod in this particular group, it was what sparked for me is Pramod's in my backyard and he's doing data analytics, and it was something that I was actually kind of percolating in my brain. So when I saw him go into one of these rooms, and by good fortune, Paul put Pramod and I in the same room, and we're neighbors in Portland. So that automatically perked my interest in wanting to see somebody in person and spend a little time. So that's to me what really kind of got things going. Not only, and then we do travel up north, a 3 hour drive up north. Pramod and I both do to meet with our partners up in Seattle. So we go back and forth. But anyway, that's what kind of sparked my interest, and then also learning about Pramod's company and his company culture and how he treats his customers and the successes that he's had. It's kind of like I don't know if you watched that movie, The Spartan 300, Small but Mighty. You have 300 soldiers going in facing a million people or a million other fighters. I kind of love that strategy. Is like we come in as a very highly efficient organization, small group, very focused, and we're designed to accomplish the goal. And that's where I really enjoy this type of environment where I feel that's all the big companies, a lot of the vendors that I start seeing nowadays, they're just trying to upscale, do more and more and more. But I'm trying to do more quality and go deeper and wider with my clients and really treat them like a real partner where the things that I want to do with the organization, and Pramod may align with this, I'm pretty sure we do. The partners that we bring in to and we go do work for, we're not trying to go get 100 of them. We want maybe 10 or 20 that are doing the same thing and make them the top of the food chain and win all the time with the technology and the services that we provide.
I think it was my second or third meeting, and this P2P, uh, that group was actually new to me, and I was put into the spot, right? I mean, got into this breakout room, and we have to create a solution and come back and do the presentation. So we were put into that spot. So we and Denny brought the idea, and I thought, oh, why not? This is actually great. This is actually a nice one, and uh, we brainstormed it outside. Not just we didn't keep it in that room. We actually took it outside. Uh, right away I got Denny's email, and we set up a coffee meeting outside of that, and we follow it through. That was really helpful. And then since then we start to go, like Denny was mentioning, we start to go to this Seattle chapter meeting in person. That actually made a very good difference too. And that's where we start to form that team with Paul Solsky and rest of the Seattle group. We have around 8 or 9 businesses in that group, providing somewhat different solutions, but we come as a team.
You know what I like about that? This is a great story, guys, because salespeople and technical people don't always mesh, and you and you guys did it. So that's a great story. So I
Yeah.
want to hear it.
From my background, 25 years ago, I was a programmer, totally doing coding, and worked my way to the CEO of the business. So I'm not a salesperson when it comes to sales and marketing. I will talk more technical, and the other person in the other side, they're they they don't get it, right? But Denny, other hand, he's the sales guy. He's a hunter. He actually hunt that. So for me, I can take the technical side of it. So technical presentation, doing that part, that I can take it. But that that hunting part, right? That's where Denny. So our combination actually was very good for us to take it further. Like we were mentioning, there are other opportunities, 4 or 5 other opportunities that we are working on as well.
Well, I think what you guys are a symbol of, it takes teamwork to go wider and deeper with customers. It takes teamwork and to work together to build solution for customers. So it's a great story that you guys have put together. Anthony, you have some more questions?
Yeah, I mean it's really fascinating to hear just themes of just the depth of collaboration, just the proactive aspects of it, the fact of the different backgrounds. But let me ask this. I mean, can you share a time maybe when, things like the partnership maybe didn't go as planned? And what did you learn about resilience or leadership from that experience? And if you don't have an example from your guys's, experience in partnering together, maybe share of another example without revealing names, but
Oh no, we want to hear names.
Well, I'll start. So Pramod and I recently ran into a hiccup with one of our clients without naming any names. But here's my years of experience in sales is I recognize that sometimes you run into a hiccup where, initially it goes smoothly and then there's a hiccup where they say, hey, we're not really interested in moving forward. That is just sales 101. The first no is not no. I mean, if I heard the first no when I met my wife, we had never been married. So, I we've been together 35 years now, so I feel like I'm a pretty good salesman. I've kept her, happy and working towards, keeping that going. I feel like a lot of the part of the sales process is making sure that that relationship we're playing catch, and this is part of some of the sales training that I've been involved with, and also the relationships of understanding the nuances of just the human relationship. So just because somebody disagrees with you at one point doesn't mean that's all done, because you've already done all of this good work, and that counts for something. So those things are the things that we continually drip on. And this is again sales 101, where you continually reach out and touch. And through that, there are other venues of business that can be continued on to eventually write over. And I have kind of sprawled my relationship out in that organization so that I have feelers in different areas. So I know that eventually, when some things are going good over here, I can slowly start pulling over the information because they're continuing to do their evaluations and all of their other stuff. I'll recognize an opportunity to bring Promod and bring the whole thing back together again. And so for me, in our experience, Pramod and I had this conversation. It's actually a great learning experience because we've already gained all of this paid knowledge that we're actually going to bring to market in other areas. But that doesn't mean that this one relationship is ending. It's just on pause, right? It's no means maybe later. That's what it sounds like to me. So
yeah.
anyway, that's what I've experienced. You want to add something there, Pramod?
Yeah, I mean, when we are doing business, it's not always. I mean, it won't always go off, right? There will be ups and downs. There is, and if there is no downs, there it's not a business. Basically, we try to find solutions to those issues, and we move on. And there are times when uh, Denny brings an opportunity, but then uh, we may not be having that full resources. So like there may be like we can do parts of it, but we may not have resources to it. So it's not like a issue, but it's a good issue to solve. And then we won't actually say fully no to the whole thing. What we find is we find partners. So then that's when we look into other partners who can do small parts of the other project. So we are doing multiple of those kind of projects where we bring in and partner with other companies to get on these other projects. So it's not a fully a issue, but it's a good issue to solve.
It's a good lesson that we learned, I think, even in elementary school, is playing well in the sandbox. We all want the same Tonka truck. We all want the same, shovels. We want all that stuff. But if we cooperate well together, we build an awesome sandcastle. And that's really how simple I look at things is a lot of times there's a lot of overlap with our partners and whatnot. But as long as we can draw good lines, work together, cooperate, It strengthens our relationship and builds a reputation overall of, look at these technologists coming together and providing this amazing solution.
Yeah.
So that's really the exciting part about what we do.
And we didn't have a lot of issues between us when we were doing. Most of the time, we were transparent about what we are doing. We have regular meetings to talk about what's going on, and everyone has to be compensated for their time. Right? I mean, it's not like one way. I get the project, I take on and go. So it's not it doesn't work that way. It's sharing. Sharing is caring, and so Denny brings a project. He gets. I mean, he's also getting off that. So we both share the revenue and things like that. So that's and it's very open. I mean, open to us what we get, and Denny knows what we are bringing in, all those kind of, and we actually have agreement in place so that uh, we are not talking about, I mean, having issues later. So we are taking all those necessary steps in the beginning to write down what we agreed upon and how we are getting paid and all those. So we are avoiding those issues later.
That reminds me, I need to talk to you about that contract of ours. Just kidding.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, it's really good just to hear what it's a good example of what true teamwork really entails. And I think it's kind of I mean, that word teamwork, and just, I mean, I think you guys are embodying that. I mean, it's the team, you're approaching it as a team on how, with the customer as as the focus, making sure, but then you're rolling up your sleeves and you're working, and you're each doing your part exceptionally well. But not only just working on behalf of the customer, but just hearing you guys, there's also just a lot of ongoing work just to into the team, which is really good to hear. And I hope a lot of our listeners kind of take out some of those principles and apply it for them. So I really appreciate you guys sharing.
All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about what's taking place in the marketplace today. Microsoft Ignite just took place, and I think, I watched a lot of the sessions, and I think they only said two words: AI, AI, AI. Right? So with AI and automation just reshaping the whole partner landscape now, because that is what's happening, and everybody's having to adapt. What's the one area where you see partners both leveraging and or underestimating the opportunity that's out there before them? Denny, you want to tackle that first?
So what I see is there's a huge rush to jump on the bandwagon and create AI shelfware, to just jump on AI for the sake of it. And what I caution clients to do is just to take a moment and think through the processes that would really help them, because it's easy to want to push the easy button and say, oh man, AI, that's like going to think for me and do everything. No, it really isn't going to do that for you. But if you use the tools that AI is bringing to the forefront, really understand it and bring I mean, AI is no good if it doesn't have a good data analytics person to pull that data together and apply it to help that organization. And then also use the AI in repetitive tasks to go out and do simple like communications, and then build the foundation and then go up from there. I feel like it's too easy to just go super complicated. There's a lot of things that we have to start on the foundational level. So that's been my kind of conversation, and my mantra is that, yeah, new technology is great, AI is great, but here's what we've learned from, I think, lessons from social media and the internet is that, we as human beings dove headfirst into it, and then there's been a lot of casualties from that. And my belief is let's just take it a minute slower. Let's learn from our past mistakes and understand how the AI can be used in the most proficient manner with the right experts helping us along the way. And from that, much more can happen, but take a pretty steady, thoughtful process rather than just grabbing the latest widget. That's just kind of what I say, but that's what I've been pushing out in my conversations.
How about you, Pramod?
Yeah, yeah. Everyone wants to become a frontier firm, as Microsoft was mentioning. Everyone wants to become a frontier firm, and in the future, there is going to be like AI taking care of AI, another AI agent, and then there will be like a human handling like 50 different agents. So that's their work to make sure that agents are working side by side, right? So that's the vision. But to get to that level, it's not like a switch on kind of thing. It has to have that foundation. As a data guy working, having experience over these 25 years experience going through this data world, initially we are having, it's only like website development, so we know the path how we came from, right? Like there's website development, and then there is all these credit card website and all those. They wanted to bring all the data to one place now. Then later it was called BI, and then now it's basically it's the same data. I mean, we need data. If there is no data, then there is no AI or frontier flow. So what I am getting here is from the market is everyone wants to become a frontier firm, but they don't know how to where to start. Even the infrastructure, they are seeing all these different tools out there. There is Google tools, there is Microsoft tools, there is other third-party tools, and it can add it to the subscription. I mean, they add all these tools to the subscription, and their subscription cost may be like 400 or $500 per person. And when you add it up to like 100 employees, and that adds up. Um, so the tools which you're choosing, if you are on Microsoft side, there are tools which you may not need other tools, and but then you can use even the Microsoft tools. You can use AI Foundry to in that there is all the other you can use other models to train the data. So there may be things which you can use to solve the problem without going through the other subscription. So from the market perspective, they have to have a good strategy. What are the kind of software they're going to be using, and the security measures, how they are going to be rolling out, where they are going to keep the data. Those are all key to the success of becoming a frontier firm.
Well, you brought up a couple of good points, and I want to kind of dive into that because one of the things we want to do, I want to ask you this question. You brought up all these tool sets that people want to implement, and Denny, you brought up, take a look at your processes, and partners have to adapt to how the marketplace is changing. Let's look ahead 1 or 2 years, okay? 1 or 2 years. What do you think is going to define the most successful Microsoft partners, in specializations, innovation skills, or community, how they work within a community? What's a Microsoft partnership going to look like in the next couple of years?
Go ahead, Kamal.
Yeah, I think the marketplace, the Microsoft marketplace, is going to have lots of uh, AI agents. People are going to actually put to their agent, like just like when we hire people, we are trying to get their talent to work on something, right? Just like that, there will be more agents in the marketplace. So we can buy one agent to do the work instead of hiring more people. There will be people will be hired for taking care of the agents, and if they are not ready to learn that process of taking care of the agents, then it will be questionable how they want to survive in that particular organization. So definitely there will be agents working side hand in hand to do the work. I mean, I cannot imagine now with using. I mean, right now we've been using Copilot for maybe 1.5 years since it actually started. Right now, I am using it in every aspect of it, writing the email or getting the suggestion, doing the research, getting the idea, all this. So it's a part of my kind of habit of doing the development or doing the research. So think of like when it comes to 2 years, we are relying upon agents, more and more agents. Then I think that's where the world is going.
So, Denny, I'm going to ask you this. How do you think it's going to affect it from the sales process side? How do you think it's going to affect it?
I think it's similar to what Pramod said. So I may be one of the slower adopters. I love technology, but I'm a little more cautious about jumping in too quickly on things, and maybe it's because I've been burned too fast. Like I was when I was younger, I would jump in head first, everything, 100%, and then end up burning myself up. So I'm a little slower these days. I'll stick a toe in and then a leg, and then maybe I'll swim around for a little bit. So my thought process around how AI is working, and I am using AI myself, and formulating interactions, utilizing communications, automation is a big thing that I think is prevalent, but I'm trying not to do it in a way that is drone like. How many of us get our email boxes filled with these? You can almost feel the drone of, hi, I'm Jane and I've got this for you, blah, blah, blah. And it's the same kind of automation. And so, what I'm trying to do is do a combination of it by utilizing AI and generating ideas, personalizing and bringing the human into it, and doing the outreach. I don't know if you guys ever watched that movie Jerry Maguire, where it's like that personal attention thing like that. That stuck with me back in 1996. I'm dating myself, but that's okay. That was like an epiphany to me. Is in order to be a good salesperson and just a good person in general, it requires that personal attention. And so I'm using AI in that area where it can enhance and maybe even deepen those kind of communications, the things that I'm looking for. And then I'll bring in the human and I'll do that outreach. I think that's going to be good. I think what's also important to note is that in 1 to 2 years, if you're one of those organizations that has not looked at AI and applied these modern tools, it's kind of like a person that has a handsaw and a new chainsaw came out and they didn't start using that chainsaw when they're out, competing against other companies and chopping up wood, right? If you're not using the chainsaw, you're going to fall behind. And this is the same way I look at AI is it's a tool for us to use. So in 1 to 2 years, if you're not using it in a smart, efficient way, you're going to fall behind. Don't let your competitors beat you out when it. Jump into it. Don't be crazy about it, but use it strategically. And then call a person like myself or Pramod, call us, let us help you, and then we'll help you walk through that process. Because just like any good guide, I mean, if you're out fishing in a big lake, you're not going to catch a bunch of fish if you don't have a good guide or a depth finder and all the right tools. We're going to bring you those tools. So that would be my message. But 1 to 2 years, yeah, got to use AI.
Let me ask you this: if another partner wanted to replicate your success, what's the one principle or mindset shift you tell them to adopt, just to kind of keep that balance between the technical, people, and customer value and harmony?
I could tell you that at least for me and Pramod, I feel it's all about transparency and relationship. So, it's just like anything else, right? If you're on the playground, you become buddies, you're hanging out with that guy all day long because you guys get along. You have kind of the
Mm-hmm.
same mindset and everything else. So align there. I think that's a great place to start, and then the rest will probably fall into place as you kind of understand each other's strengths. And between Pramod and I, this is just my thought is I recognize Pramod's strengths, he recognized mine, and together we're able to really collaborate and do some really cool stuff together.
Yeah, I agree with it. Totally agree with what Jenny was mentioning, and the other thing is the trust we actually build as we start doing multiple projects. That also help. Like, and then I also mentioned that before, like we sign the agreement, make sure we are not uh, getting into any other issues later, and those are very key. And um, Denny, we meet in, it's not just online meeting, we also meet several times on site actually. That I've been working from home for more than 2 decades now, but I there is that, as we are humans, there is that face-to-face meeting actually brings a next level of trust and that conference, right? That actually also help in this process.
I think what I've been using a lot lately is the RI, the real intelligence, the human intelligence. So we pair the RI with the AI, and we get a beautiful thing that comes together.
Well, I think you guys exhibit and are great examples of one of the things that we've always preached at IAMCP about partnering together since I've been a member of IMCP for 30 years now. So that's one of the things that you've done. So when partnering with another company, let me ask this question. When partnering with another company, do you have criteria or a decision-making process that you use to help you determine, whether partnering will truly complement, the strengths of you and your organization, and, to help you build better solutions and deliver greater value for your customers?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there is this company mission and vision, all those values, everything, right? So, in any company, when they are partnering with any other company, there is that we look at those values and everything, and then those are the things which we look initially, and then later, when we get a chance to work together, we get to know a little bit more about the culture and the way they are working. If it's not aligned, we may not get the next project. I mean, we may not proceed with the future projects. We will get to know in the initial project itself. We will be able to find out if it's a good fit or not.
I would say also clearly defined lines. So we may find a partner that has some specific things that we need, but as long as we're able to clearly define the lines of, you do this, we'll do this, as long as we can draw and delineate those lines clearly and have good communication, that really helps in building that, third, fourth, fifth party partnership. And it can be messy, right? Because each organization is their own entity, right? And they're used to maybe doing all of this, but now they're only doing this piece. And as long as that works out well, then we all eat well at the table. That's okay, and that is really kind of, at least in my mind, how I like to work if we bring in other partners.
Danny, I want to kind of go back to something. I do have another question, but how do you mentioned earlier about RI plus AI. How do you assess RI?
Well, RI is what we're innately built in with, right?
Yeah.
Our relational intelligence with each other. So, machines, I'm happy to say, at least this point, don't exhibit all of the little micro intonations and communications and body language and kind of the understanding of what somebody's saying and how to interpret that, and then all of those little things, right? So
Hmm.
that's RI, that's our old school sales platform. So all this talk of AI is wonderful, but I think we all need to really remember and ground ourselves that we're human. So, a great mentor of mine, JP O'Donnell, who is part of the IMCP in Seattle and brought me to the IMCP there in Seattle, he says, the human first, the human in the loop. And I agree with that 100%.
Mm.
Like, that's the philosophy I've always followed, is that no matter what happens, all this great technology and everything else, if that all poof disappeared, it'd be us just left alone. So I look at marrying the best of what we can do in our relational, on the RI, the real intelligence of our human relationships, communications, understanding, even projecting the technology and how it can apply where AI may have not missed it, but has a different approach that, it's one thing when AI says, hey, I'm gonna chop this off because it doesn't belong. Well, we're on our RI says, hey, I don't think we should chop it off. Let's just let it linger on a little bit longer and see how
Hmm.
it works out. That's the difference, right, between real intelligence and artificial intelligence.
Mm. That's good. I appreciate you expounding upon that. So I've got just kind of one more question for both of you, and you've given just a lot of great perspective and things to think about. Here just in our time together. The last question here is: if you can give your younger self one piece of advice, about building partnerships in this ecosystem, what would it be?
I'll say it. Just to be friendly and transparent. I think a lot of times when and I know I bring up a lot of analogies, but that's just the way I think about things.
Yeah, I'm
You
still thinking about playing with the Tonka truck in the sandbox, man.
Well, when you're dating, so my wife brings this up to me all the time, and I always kind of not really think much of it, but she goes, "You're the same guy that I met the first day to you are today. Like there was no, upfront different person. If you're just real and authentic, that's who you are. Like so our first date, I couldn't afford that first restaurant. I'm like, we got to get out of here, and we left. She was really embarrassed, but that's just who I am. I'm pretty honest. Like I was a college student, $40, that was it. That place, that steakhouse was like way over my head. I couldn't handle that. So anyway, that would be my thought is, if I was to give any advice, is just to be authentic and real. Don't try to present yourself as something that you're not. People are super forgiving. So, like, as long as you're honest and you say, hey, look, I don't understand maybe some of the things that you're presenting to me, but I'll learn it and then I know how to apply it,
Mhm.
that type of conversation will go a long ways as opposed to kind of faking something that's really not true and then just making something up along the way. Get yourself into trouble.
Mhm.
So, that would be my advice to my younger self.
Mhm.
So to me, it's actually a give and take policy. This partnership, it's not like in one way straight, right? So the person who is trying to partner with us, they are trying to get something out of me, and I'm also trying to get something out of that person. So in our case, Denny actually brought the sale. That's the I mean, I'm not a salesperson kind of so Denny's expertise actually that is very helpful. And on the other hand, Denny is looking for that someone to develop that so that he gets so there should be something I obviously it should be there should be something identifiable. So if I'm uh little bit younger, maybe like 10, 20 years ago, if I'm redoing this, the whole business again, I will hire people who are certified, a little bit certified in Microsoft ecosystem, so that when Denny brings a project, that we can actually show all those Microsoft solution designations where uh, it will be easier for Denny to bring in a sales because Microsoft may be bringing all these opportunities to Denny or opportunities to me. So my uh, my thought is like if I hire more people who are already certified, that actually gets me to the solution destination, to the level where Denny can or any other partners can approach me to give the projects.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Promod and Denny, thank you again. This was a fantastic time together. Always enjoy the perspectives and just throughout the conversation. So thank you. Before we go, what's for those listening? What's the best way folks can reach out and connect with you?
You can email me at dghim@sandlerpartners.com or call me on my cell, 503-957-1143. If I'm not under a rock, I pick up. I'm an old school sales guy. I talk on the phone a lot.
Yeah, that's another thing. Whenever Denny calls, I will pick up because I know that if I don't pick up, I am missing a sales. I mean, we actually always have that communication going on. Anyway, you can reach me on my LinkedIn, or my email ID is promod.antony@logicintelligence.com,
Excellent.
or my phone number will be in all the emails. So
Okay. Excellent. We'll be sure to have all that information in the show notes as well. Well, Promod, Denny, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right.
thank
Thank
you,
you.
Anthony and Rudy,
This
and
has been
thanks for
fun.
giving the opportunity.
Yes. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Well, that was a great episode. I really, really appreciate whenever we have Promod and Denny on. I think, Rudy, the thing I really enjoy is it's so rare that you see guys with like the different backgrounds. Like you got like, sales, marketing, and then technology. A lot of times they tend to be, at odds, but in this, situation, you just hear how well they work together, as a model for, how things really should be, in this space. So it's just really refreshing just to listen to these guys and hear their story and their perspectives.
Oh, very much so. One of the things that happened early on in the interview, both Denny and Promod exhibit the attitudes and the principles that should follow in a true P2P relationship, that they work together to build, a real partnership, to create, deeper in their partnership level, to create deeper and better real value solutions for their customers. And so how do you do that? Well, you build a relationship not only between you two, the two partners, but also with your customers, because then you understand their needs a whole lot better. And if you have transparency in your relationship, then you build a real trust relationship. But when the trust relationship shows between two partners working together, customers pick up on that. And that helps you close and build better solutions and build a long-term business relationship with your customers. So I really appreciated both of them kind of diving into that.
Mm-hmm. That was really good. I mean, and I really there was a lot of just great input on just some sales advice. The thing that really, and I'd never heard this before, or maybe at least heard it this way before, was when Denny at the end was sharing about the balance between having the RI plus the AI, the relational intelligence with the artificial intelligence, and the role that they play, how they complement, and just even in the midst of, how much, AI, is not only just emerging, but, just becoming a necessary component to remain competitive. But in the midst of all that, just the emphasis on, a human first and having that balance. And I just really appreciated, that perspective, especially as there's just so much coming out about that. So I thought that was really good. And I definitely took some notes and gave me some things to think about.
Very much so. It was really a thoroughly enjoyable interview. I really appreciate the IMCP Seattle team putting those two guys together, and the work that Paul Kosolski is doing with the P2P group there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you all for joining us on this episode of IMCP Profiles in Partnership, powered by Dunamis Marketing. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and find it useful and inspiring. If you did, please subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. One of the best ways to partner for success is to join IAMCP, a community of Microsoft partners who help each other grow and thrive. IAMCP members can find and connect with other partners locally and globally and access exclusive resources and opportunities. Whether you're looking for new customers, new markets, or new solutions, IAMCP can help you achieve your goals. To learn more, visit the website at www.iamcp.org.